In a small coastal town, where the streets were quiet and opportunities were even quieter, a boy was born. His name was Jackson. He didn't grow up in a big house. He didn't have the newest clothes. He didn't have people telling him he was special. His father worked long hours doing physical labor. His hands were rough. His back was tired. And some nights there was just enough money to get by. But inside that small house, there was something powerful. Hope. From a young age, Jackson understood something most kids don't. Nothing would be handed to him. So every morning, before the sun rose, before the world even opened its eyes, Jackson was already awake, delivering newspapers. Cold wind hitting his face, rain soaking his jacket, sleep still heavy in his eyes. While other kids were dreaming, Jackson was building his. At school, he wasn't the top student. He wasn't the loudest. He wasn't the most confident. Most days he sat on the last bench, not because he wanted to hide, but because that's where no one paid attention. Teachers rarely called his name. Classmates rarely noticed him, but they couldn't see what was happening inside him. Jackson was curious. He asked questions no one else asked. He stayed after class. He borrowed old science books from the library. He became fascinated with how things worked: engines, circuits, machines, even rockets. At night, he would step outside his house and look at the sky. The stars didn't look impossible to him. They looked like a destination. He would whisper to himself, "One day, I'm going to build something that reaches up there." But dreams are easy. Reality is hard. College came with pressure, bills, competition, expectations. Jackson chose engineering, and that's when life truly tested him. His first major project failed. Not a small mistake, a complete failure. His professor looked at him and said, "If you can't handle this level, maybe this field isn't for you." Those words hit harder than anything before. For the first time, Jackson doubted himself. Maybe they were right. Maybe he wasn't good enough. Maybe he was just a kid from the last bench. That night, he sat alone in his small dorm room. The world felt heavy. But then he remembered something. Every cold morning, every newspaper delivered, every sacrifice his father made. He didn't come this far to quit. So he made a decision. He would not let failure define him. He stayed awake all night. He rebuilt his project from scratch. He studied harder than ever before. He stopped chasing approval and started chasing improvement. Weeks later, he presented again. This time, it worked. Not perfectly, but enough to prove something important. He was capable. Years passed. Jackson graduated. He entered the world of research and innovation, and once again, he failed. His first large-scale experiment collapsed during testing. Investors pulled back, media criticized him, colleagues questioned him. It felt familiar, the last bench all over again. But this time, he didn't panic. He had learned something powerful. Failure is feedback. So instead of quitting, he studied the mistake. He adjusted. He improved. He worked quietly while others talked loudly. And then the breakthrough came. The project succeeded. Not because he was the smartest, not because he was lucky, but because he refused to stop. The boy from the small house, the boy who delivered newspapers, the boy who sat on the last bench, was now standing on stages, leading teams, building technology that inspired thousands. But success didn't change him. He still visited schools. He still spoke to students who felt invisible. And he would tell them, "It doesn't matter where you sit. It matters how hard you're willing to stand up."
He reminded them that poverty is a condition, not an identity. Failure is a lesson, not a life sentence. Criticism is noise, not truth. And background does not decide your future. Jackson's story isn't about becoming famous, it's about becoming unstoppable. Because the real victory wasn't the awards, it wasn't recognition, it was this: he never let the last bench become his final destination. So if you feel unnoticed, if you feel behind, if you feel like everyone else is ahead, remember this: greatness doesn't start in the spotlight. It starts in the struggle. It starts in the quiet mornings, in the unseen effort, in the nights when no one is watching. Maybe you're sitting on the last bench right now, but that doesn't mean you'll stay there, because the distance between the last bench and the stars is called perseverance. And if Jackson can travel that distance, so can you.